I'm not the only one. I mean, for me, I have to be humble enough to say that, religion it didn't start in 2008 with me and my experience only.
You're right. People have been wrong about a lot of things for as long as there have been people.
True. So, it's not always wise to go with the crowd, but, sometimes, and for this time anyway, but sometimes when people are saying that there's some truth here, just by it being the majority, at least it's not to accept their truth, will force me to at least thoroughly investigate. And for me, the biggest miracle was when I stepped out on faith through the information that I had, the things that were abnormal became normal. In other words, there was some transformation that today, with honest truth, I cannot pinpoint and explain to you through logically.
So basically you're saying that you had a really confusing understanding and you prayed, and the miracle is that this stuff is still confusing and difficult for you to understand, and that's proof of God.
Sir, it's not confusing for me today. I know that I know that I know, but perhaps I don't have the education.
I could have sworn that you just said that it was still beyond understanding.
To explain it to you, but
okay.
It's something that I would give my life to because it has it's profoundly changed me.
That makes me insanely sad, and I'm putting you on hold for that. Anybody who'd be willing to give their life for a belief that's held for such tenuous, logically flawed, unjustifiable reasons, that makes me sad, because it's not a huge step from being willing to give your life for those types of beliefs as to being able to take somebody else's life. And I know you're going to object. Oh, you'd never do that. Self-sacrifice is a completely different thing. That's fine. There's a certain mindset where what you're willing to do based on a belief tells us how strongly you believe something. And if you're willing to give your life to a belief, then you have a degree of certainty that is way up there off the scale. Almost, you may even claim absolute certainty. And yet when pressed to provide any sort of explanation for this, you give nothing other than appeals to personal experience and your desire to find a place in the universe. None of this qualifies as evidence. I care whether or not my beliefs are true because I want to hold true, as many true beliefs as possible and as few false ones as possible, because I understand that the more false beliefs you hold, the more likely you are to be wrong, obviously, to do harm, because our beliefs inform our actions. And if you believe something for no good reason, that's faith. Faith is no good reason. You can believe something for good reasons and bad reasons, but you believe something for no good reason? Okay, well then your reasons are bad. That's the way it works. Faith is believing something for no good reason, and if you don't have a good reason, then you've got bad reasons. Faith is a bad reason. There's other callers waiting, and we only got like 20 minutes left, so I'll let you get one last thing in before we go.
Oh, well, thank you for giving me the time, but
sure.
It's just when to discuss these things within 5-6 minutes is very impossible for me. And the reason I was motivated to call was this: I've watched this show about 3-4 times, and the only thing that I've heard, not the only thing, but I always hear the Christian religion always being belittled by the opinions from you guys. And I understand if you've had a bad experience.
No, you don't understand. Has nothing to do with bad experience. The reason we deal with Christianity most often is because 75 to 80% of the United States population is Christian. Christians have the power base. Christians are the one who are trying to push creationism in schools. I got no problem with Buddhists because they're not trying to do anything. I got no problem with Jews for the most part because they don't even proselytize. I got no problem with Islam because they're irrelevant in the United States, although they are the largest, the most rapidly growing religion in the United States, which seems kind of odd when you consider the world stage. I have huge problems with Islam with regard to what they're doing in the Middle East, specifically with what they do to women in the Middle East. Not only that, but the whole jihadist thing. So it doesn't have anything to do with having a bad experience with a religion. Mm-hmm. It's entirely about what is demonstrable, what is supported by evidence, and whether or not a belief is likely to be true.
Yeah, but sir, you seem like that. For me, and from my understanding, it seems as though you haven't really thoroughly seen the works of good Christians. I can see I'm a Christian.
Did you miss the point where I said I was a Southern Baptist for 25 years?
It doesn't mean anything. I know are people that have been going to church all their lives, but they are dry as the desert.
Well,
that means
what difference does it make if the church has also done good things?
And when you speak of the church, are you talking about the church of the world? The Western Christianity is not the beginning of Christianity.
Okay.
I don't know, like, you know what I mean? So if you...
You're making a claim. Hang on.
See people here in Austin that...
One more time, hang on. Okay, I'll use the hold button. You're making a claim that we don't acknowledge the good things religion does. I'm happy to acknowledge the good... As a matter of fact, earlier in the show, I talked about the good things that religion has done. My point is, give me one example, just one, of any real, tangible, positive benefit that's provided by religion that cannot also be achieved by purely secular actions. That something that only religion can provide. It doesn't provide me, hey, I'm sure the son of Sam was nice to people. Maybe he helped an old lady across the street. Still a mass murderer. I'm sure Hitler was nice to his mother. I'm sure he did good things that benefited. I know the church has done good things. They've provided institutions of learning. None of that has any bearing how much good they do or how much evil they do on whether or not their claims are ultimately true. And my question with regard to giving me an example is, if you can provide an example of a true positive benefit that can only come from a religion, I want to know about it. Because now you've come up with something that we can't do without religion.
Well, something that you're going to laugh at will be eternal life through the...
Yeah, and I'm not only laughing, I'm hanging up. Because eternal life is not a real, tangible benefit. It is another unproven assertion that is in the fantasy world. Everybody would like to avoid death, so guess what? We're going to claim that you get to live forever, but we can't ever demonstrate it or prove it.
And the thing is, eternal life is just like the social systems of the Bigfoot.
Yeah.
It's like you've expounded now on this concept of God without proving there's a God, or without, I wouldn't say proving, but without demonstrating that your claim that a God exists is true. You have now gone into, and he, saves you from hell and gives you eternal life. Now, you didn't say hell, but, that's a common Christian claim. The idea of saying that going on then and extrapolating that with this God comes an eternal life, you've now gone off the rails with, instead of saying, I wonder if there's a Bigfoot or not, you're talking about the social systems of the Bigfoots and how their family structure works. You can't go there until you've demonstrated there's a God.
Exactly. Just because you have a warm fuzzy about this God thing seems to answer a lot of questions and concerns I had. Hey, where'd we come from? God did it. Hey, where are we going when we die? Well, we're going to go be with God. Guess what? It's a non-answer. It has no explanatory power. You're answering a mystery with an even bigger mystery. And then you're expanding on it by providing attributes for this mystery. Hey, he's transcendent and super intelligent, and he loves us, and he created it. How do you know? How do you know this? Well, I just kind of feel it. Well, you know what? Go to a doctor. Maybe it's indigestion. Until you can actually provide evidence that justifies it, your claim is only of any use to yourself, and I'm fine with that. If you want to claim that you have God speaks to you and you have direct experiential knowledge of God, that's fine, but you have to understand that that is of no use to anybody else. Your personal revelations cannot serve as evidence to anybody else, because to everybody else they're not revelations, they're hearsay. They're speculative, anecdotal evidence that carry no weight. Why is it every time I ask this, people say, oh, there's tons and tons of miracles, and then they don't give an example of a miracle, can't even come up with one.